Hey, welcome back to MindFull. It's your buddy, Kathi Yeager. One of the great things about being in the media for a long time is getting to know so many of the wonderful people that also work in broadcast, whether it's radio or television or, film or in music. And as well as talking to so many people on a daily basis and just hearing their story, knowing how impactful and how powerful it is. How cool is it that somebody uses a platform like if they're in television and they want to help others with their story? My friend Meyer, who works at Oklahoma's News Channel 4, every morning you see her on the morning show with Ken Ogle and Emily Sutton, and just a really great family of broadcasters. Over the course of years, I've had a chance to get to know her because we used to work together a little bit, and it was just always her amazing, outgoing, fun personality that always shined. So how cool is it that when she goes through a very difficult time, which if you follow her on any of her social platforms, she shared so poignantly and caught so many of us by surprise. And of course, there was a package I'm also sharing on my Facebook page that News Channel 4 ran in October of 2019 when she found out she had cancer. It was one of those stories that took not only us by surprise, those who love her and follow her and have known her for years, watching her on Channel 4, but it took her by surprise, and her family and her fellow co-workers, just because every day seeing her, not knowing that under the surface something was going on. I'll tell you, it was a really captivating story, and I thought it would be just perfect for this segment. Over the course of the next few weeks, I'm going to be talking to the overcomers, those who inspire us through their strength, through their incredible, intellect and decision making and wisdom, but also in their faith and in their way that they share and inspire others. I think it was very self-sacrificing to see how transparent she became, very vulnerable, and all across the pages of her social platform and then on television we saw this story unfold. Allie's going to join me. She'll tell this story in a bit more detail, and hopefully there'll be some takeaways that we can all grasp and hang on to, because it is important, even if you don't think there's anything wrong, to stay aware, to keep checking, and to speak to the health professionals. She'll share some more of that with us when Allie joins me next. It's Allie Meyer from News Channel 4 with MindFull. Kathi Yeager. So glad you're here.
Allie, hi. Hey, I'm so glad to see you again.
Hey, Kathi, long time.
I know it's been a while. I see you all the time. I mean, I have that advantage seeing you on television, but there's no real reason for someone who gets up as early as you do and, to look this good all the time. Really, it seems like you should at least have some wrinkles and some tired marks or something.
Good filter.
No, there's no filter here, sister. Right. That's the real deal. Now, I'm so glad to see you. Are you getting ready for the holidays? I know you've got 4 kiddos. You and your hubby have a house full of people who are probably pretty anxious for the season.
Yeah, Thanksgiving was kind of quiet at our place. I mean, it was just the 6 of us, which is maybe would seem like a big family gathering, but it's pretty small for us. It was just our immediate family this Thanksgiving. So sort of just a small family gathering at home, and we had a nice time and a long weekend to relax. And the girls are super excited about Christmas. I cannot believe that it's December. I mean,
so this year has been such a strange and I think a unique time for everyone. In many cases, pretty awful. But so we were wanting it to go fast, but now that it's here, we're like, wait, what happened? This year has just gone by so fast. I think just so much has happened.
Yeah, it's weird because 2020 has been like, in some ways, like crawling along. Like, come on, can we get through this time already? But then in other ways, I'm like, wow, okay, it's December. We're almost done. Let's kick this one to the curb and move on to the next. I think really we're all ready.
Everybody's saying that, but there's this little piece of me that said, we had such a great time. New Year's Eve, we were all having a ball together. We're so excited about the new 2020. And then that happened. What's 2020? I'm like, I don't want to be apprehensive. I don't want to be doom and gloom, but I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go into this one just slightly more careful.
Yeah. course. We know that, right?
Yeah, but 2020 wasn't your year that really, I guess, rocked you. It seems like 2019 was. And that your story, I have thought about you, and I can't tell you because I see you, but I don't get a chance to spend time with you as often as we once did when we were doing more work together. But I think about you a lot because your story has like shaken me to my core. And I think a lot of women have said that. And I think it's because of the unexpected. So I want to get right into it. You did what so many of us have done. Those who have a platform and a microphone, in your case, a camera, you try to bring attention to things that can be helpful. And you did that. There was with some ladies and hey, it's time to, think about getting your breast exam. What the heck? Talk about what happened. That just freaked me out.
Funny, because in a lot of ways I forget, in my daily life, my new normal is kind of past all that storm, but it almost brings tears to my eyes just hearing you talk about it. It's so whack. I mean, it's what I do for a living, in the same way that you as a broadcaster, you shine a light on other things and you tell people stories. And I met these two precious ladies from Eastern Oklahoma County. They lived out in Hera, and they were best friends of 40 years, and they'd had their mammograms a few weeks apart. And these best friends who live right next door both discovered in their late 60s, early 70s that they had breast cancer. So story, and October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I've done a breast cancer story every year. It's just part of what we do in October. And for me, I had turned 40 earlier in the year. It had been 6 months. I turned 40 in April, and it wasn't until I was doing this story that the little PR gal at the hospital was like, "Hey, Allie, didn't I see you turn 40 this year?" And I thought, yeah, I'll do a mammogram.
See?
Hey, I just think I was one of those people that thought less is more. I don't go to the doctor hardly ever because I'm never sick. I'm super healthy. And so the less that I do, the better. And that was misguided. It is misguided. Going to the doctor for screening checkups and regular checkups does not mean that you are healthier than anyone else necessarily. It just means you're not seeing what's going on in there. So she had this great idea to broadcast my first mammogram on television, which I was like, no, that's too boring. And women have been doing that for 30 years. Let's not be trite. But Facebook seemed like a decent option. I thought this will probably be the most boring thing on Facebook Live ever, but people can leave. They don't have to sit and watch. So that's what
I thought your idea was amazing because if you think about it, how many women without symptoms, without any kind of, family history think, I better do this. Like as soon as I turn a certain age, let's go for it. You don't think about that. Now, in my case, I did have a history of, breast cancer. And so I started checking. But what I found with you is you went in there completely unexpected of any negativity, any, other thing, just routine. And what I got a good, I think it's because so many of us have been through, this world. I got such a lump in my throat because it was like, I watched you and I went, my breath, I just lost my breath because I thought, how many women haven't gone because they don't think they have a need to, and I'll do something. I'll just keep checking. Because don't you do basically self breast checks? Are you somebody who, checks, yourself just from time to time and kind of keeps an eye out for anything strange?
I lost the last part of that question, but I heard in the beginning, what I heard in the beginning is that I was unsuspecting, and really for me, it was not unsuspecting. It was completely naive that there could potentially ever be anything going on. And almost as, I will own really arrogant, I just think young women, and especially women who are healthy and who do all the steps, all of the boxes that we check about staying out of the sun, whatever. You just think, I'm good. I'm above this. This isn't going to be a problem for me. And so I totally was naive to really even the possibility that I could have anything other than a perfect mammogram. So the day just rocked me because I was so unprepared for what the results were going to be. And then it's sort of like looking back on it, it's like a slow motion train wreck because it's like, I mean, anyone who's ever had an irregular mammogram knows first they call you back and then they tell you they need another check. And they take a closer look and then they say, we need to biopsy. And that whole process can be a little traumatic. And then you wait and you wait and you wait. And so I think one thing that was a little unique about choosing Facebook and the way that my story just kind of evolved out there was people were seeing in real time, like the way that women live horrific moments that you don't go in for your first mammogram and in 5 minutes find out you have breast cancer. It's like over the course of 2 weeks, it sort of consumes you.
Torture.
So,
it's all you can think about. Yeah, I can understand.
Yeah.
Well, now, when you finally, you understood it, you had to wrap your mind around it. How did you talk to your family? I guess for me, when you think about the kids, you want to do two things. You don't want to scare them, but you also want them to be in a situation as they get older to be more prepared, because it's a super huge lesson, for all of us when we think about ourselves and we take for granted what could be happening under the surface. So how'd you talk to the girls about it?
When I got home, Zach and my husband, just sort of processed on the day. The doctor actually called me at work. It was about the time. And so got out, Kathi, I answered the phone at my desk and I got on my reporter notebook and I just started writing down all the things that he was telling me, like
a story,
just
taking information.
And reporters gather information in high pressure scenarios all the time. So the fact that the pressure was happening in my heart and in my mind was really no different. I did not cry at work. I wrote it all down. I went and told my managers that I would need to leave for the day. And I got in my car and just lost it. I called my mom first. And at first I thought, I'm just going to tell my mom this, like I have told my managers at work. And the first time that the words, Mom, I have breast cancer out, there's really no way to
be professional through that.
Yeah. Even for a normal person to comprehend. I hope that a normal person never has to comprehend. Cause it's it's just horrible.
That's the kind of call nobody wants to have to make to somebody that is going to feel everything. I mean, completely everything that you're feeling. But did she empower you a little bit to be able to take that message home to the family? It's good to be able to have someone you can talk to about it first, and then.
Yeah. My mom is an eternal optimist. So she just said, okay, well, this is going to be fine. First words out of her mouth with no details. And we'll figure out what to do next. And it's what you do, because with breast cancer too, there's a million flavors of it. I think medically speaking, I'll get very lucky that stage 0, early detection, best kind of breast cancer to possibly have as a diagnosis. There are certainly so many more diagnoses that are vastly more difficult to treat and have very, very different consequences on your life and such. So yeah, she said it's going to be okay. And I tried to have that same level of optimism when it came to talking to my girls. So as you said, I have 4 kids. They're all girls. So for me, the breast cancer piece too was particularly, impactful for them, knowing okay, they're going to have their mammograms earlier. And you just begin to sort of get consumed with the way that this diagnosis affects your family, your girls, their kids. They're each 2 years apart. So we kind of decided that the two younger ones would process that information in a way that was different than the two older ones. So we sort of did it that way. They came home on the bus in 2 batches. So it worked out fairly well. And we told them all the things that were knowns, and then that there were a few things that were unknown. And we were going to tackle them as
1 minute at a time.
They came. Yep.
And then treatment, I know that was another big decision, because I know, in my experience with family, that we've had to make the decision. One of the things in the package I saw run on your station about this, and I'm going to share it if you don't mind, that I posted again with this, because it, again, the whole thing, just my heart. But your doctor mentioned, and it is something I thought, the more you take, the more, of course, that's going to get. But she said it was more about getting what you needed to get, but keeping from spreading. And that just knocked me out. I thought, okay, because I know when my mom had it, that was a decision we had to make. And it was like, oh, take it all, take it all, take it all. But they're not necessarily, that's not necessarily the case.
Very individual, that is about how you are going to long-term process your body and your diagnosis and manage your risk in the future. But yeah, Dr. Denise Rabel said to me, and I included that in our story because it was so impactful to me, more surgery doesn't mean more survival. In my case, they had taken biopsies from both sides, and we knew that there was stage 0 breast cancer on the right side, and we knew the left side was free of cancer. We'd even biopsied a portion of my left breast tissue. And so for me, not only was keeping the left breast an option, doctors weren't even recommending taking it. It's not that they wouldn't if I had wanted that and pushed for that, and some women do. And by all means, if that is the best way that you want to get through your breast cancer, you do you. But for me, I fought hard to keep as much of my body intact as I could. And so for me, when it came down to that left breast is a separate organ. I think a lot of people I didn't realize even, they're 2 entirely separate organs.
You don't think about it like that.
It's
nice rack usually means one. There's 2 there.
Yeah. Vein, and this is a little personal, but I also chose to keep my nipple on my right side, which is part of my breast tissue. That is a relatively new procedure compared to mastectomy and lumpectomy and all the other options that have been around there for a long time. And some women choose to lose it all because they would prefer to just not have any breast tissue on that side. In some cases, it can reduce your risk. But in my case, the cancer cells were nowhere near the nipple. And since I was going to be the one looking at my body every day, that was the decision I made. And I am so thankful that it was an option for me. And
that's the key. I think everybody has an individual case, and each person has a time with their professional to talk about what the options are. And I learned a lot from what you shared, and I'm glad you're so transparent. I know that had to be hard. I can't even imagine. My question was, especially like during the mammogram, which camera person did you who did you trust in there? Like, I don't know. There's a few. I was like, hey, I don't know.
I took a guy with me who I have worked with since day one here. He's like a brother of mine. And I'm like, you know what? We've all got nipples. So,
but they don't normally look like pancakes.
Right. Yeah. And just keep your head in the viewfinder, please.
I think it's amazing that you did that, though, because think about that. Think about that. You allowed for this. I think in the earlier generations, they always kept things very, private and this and that. But I think our generation has figured out, if this can help somebody, if I can step over that once invisible barrier and say, look, this is a reality. This is what happens, and wake up. you might need to do the same thing. I applaud it. And I think you won awards for this, if I'm not mistaken. And by God, you should have, because I'm so blessed by, again, that transparency and willingness to share your story and the vulnerability you had, because sometimes even that can inspire someone to, realize it's okay to have the feelings you're having and be in this busy, crazy super mom world, because, you can be a super mom, but you're still allowed to say, I need help. And this feels like, junk. And and pray through it and have complete strangers praying you through it too.
I have never regretted for a moment, really, my decision to share. I'll keep in mind, when I first turned on that Facebook Live, I had no idea what it was going to turn into. But I just have not regretted. And working in the media, people can be lovely and they can be really, and shockingly, I have had almost no ugliness. I mean, I think in some ways, when you just lay it out there in full transparency with no agenda or avenue that you're trying to gain something from it, people that they showed up for me in just a really loving way, and it made getting through all of that so much easier. Just knowing that every time I opened my phone or clicked open Instagram or Facebook, that I'd have a few messages. I still get messages today. I got this morning from someone in Wichita who said, my mom just got diagnosed with breast cancer, and first person I thought of was you. And I just want to say thank you for your story. And there is so much that I'm through my battle, hopefully forever. But the power of this story is still helping people.
Absolutely.
And that is, I never could have seen that coming. So
well, what about final steps? Okay. Can you inspire those who may be sort of in that situation? And has anything changed? Do you eat differently? Do you, have any suggestions medically how to sort of, be on guard for something like this? What can we have as takeaways that maybe you've picked up from this?
I will say that really nothing about my lifestyle has changed. I was pretty healthy before. There is a serious connection between sugar and cancer, and I knew that before. And I think a lot of people know about that. What has changed for me is the way that I'm proactively pursuing feeling wonderful in my body. And before, as I was saying, that would have been not going to the doctor, and now I'm like, you know what? I have felt a little down for a few weeks. I'm gonna go talk to a doctor about that. I feel like something might be a little off in my body. I'm gonna go see what supplement I can get, because I'm 42 now, and your hormone levels aren't the same as they were in your 20s when you were feeling wonderful. And I just want to feel my best no matter what. And so I've had a real perspective shift on asking for help, feeling my best, and what that looks like for me. And I would say that the number one piece of advice I have for people who reach out and ask questions, and I get that a lot, and they usually want to know, well, what should I do? And that is not a question I can answer for anyone. They're going to make their own individual choices about their best route through their cancer journey. But I will say, I always advocate for people to get multiple opinions. I'm really surprised how many women get a diagnosis like cancer or another diagnosis, and they make an appointment, they rush in, they schedule the first surgery date, and they want to get through it as quickly as possible. And while it is traumatic and there are some benefits to moving on, I found so much insight and wisdom from talking to different doctors. I think as outsiders, we always think, oh, well, the doctors know it all, and there's like one way to do things. You go, the doctor will do the one way, and you'll be good. Man, that could not be further from the truth. They're all wonderful, but doctors are like architects. You don't go and ask for a building. I mean, they each are going to design it a different way. And it was exactly like that for surgical techniques and where the incision would be, and the timing of surgery versus other kinds of treatment. It is so nuanced
Wow.
and detailed. And those choices are all yours. That's what people forget. You don't go in to sign up for a doctor and what his or her choices are for you. You have options, and you should talk to a few doctors. I mean, we go to a few places when we pick out a new carpet color. Why wouldn't we go to a few doctors to see what the plan is for cutting open our body?
Holy mackerel. I guess because, like you said, we think they got the answers. It's a blueprint, and this blueprint works across the board, and that could not be further from the truth. And I'm blown away that even I, as you're saying that, I'm thinking, what would I do?
Yeah.
I wonder what I would do. Wow. You are unbelievable. I'm so grateful for this conversation and just for you sharing your journey. I know that 2021 is going to be even better. Every year is going to be better. And I think it's because information is power, and you've shared so much just in this 2 years, I guess, that you've had this experience. So I hope it can continue to help so many, and men and women, actually. And I think just if you can take anything away, even one thing, what a blessing. You probably saved a life, Miss Sally. You don't realize.
I hope so. And Kathi, just thank you so much for the way that you are continuing to invest in women and in information out there. I know that the more we share our stories, the more connected we are in humanity. And I think a lot of what's wrong in this world is lost connection. So thank you.
We are one body, sister. We are. Well, I love you, girl. And give everybody hugs around there. Tell Mike Morgan to stop posting weird stuff on the internet.
That man to behave. We try. It is a lot.
I have to pick on him. I've known him the longest. So, well, God bless you, sweetie. And I hope I see you very soon. And have a very Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to you and your whole family.
Love you guys.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye.